chocolate tiffin recipe, which has to be the ultimate fridge cake recipe. Yeah, I've got a few in my repertoire over the years. My boys used to request it. I say boys, when they were knee-high to a grasshopper, they're now fully grown men and still wanting it. So let's make them some chocolate tiffin. And I'm sure you are going to enjoy making it too. To make the chocolate tiffin, you're going to need a baking tin. I've just got a nice square one like this. It's 20 by 20. And it makes it easier as well with it being square to cut it up afterwards. Though you can use a circular one, it doesn't matter. Then just take a little bit of kitchen paper and some butter on the end of it. And what you're going to do is just butter it out. And this is ready for lining. Now, there's not going to be any fancy schmancy lining of the tin because it's a fridge cake. If you were probably making a sponge cake like some of my other recipes, then you would take more care in the lining of it. But all you're going to do is take some baking parchment. I like to scrunch it up. Yeah, it seems a bit odd really. And then I'm just going to sit that right into the tray. What this does is it just lines it out and makes it easier for you to pull it out of the tin once it is set in the fridge. So don't be too worried about it if it looks a bit, battered. It will come out perfect. The next stage, you're going to have 240 grams of digestive biscuits, which are these. And you'll see that I've put them in a carrier bag for very good reason. There we go, digestives. You could use something maybe like a rich tea biscuit, or in America, I think they've got something called Graham's crackers or something like that. But these are really good because they're fairly a solid biscuit. So they will hold together all that lovely chocolate and things that we're going to add to it. So what you're going to do is just get 240 grams of them and pop it in a bag because we're going to be doing some battering of them. So just take your bag of digestives and just give them a bit of a whack. Sort of turn them over. What you're aiming for is not totally crumbs. So you can have some crumbs like that, but you're aiming for some broken bits like that that will still hold and have structure. So just sort of try and look through the bag and see if you can see any overly big bits, like that one there, for instance. Just give that a knock. And then you're going to get your bowl. And just pop them in there. Then you're going to add 100 grams of raisins. Leave that to one side for the moment because we're going to go over to the stove and melt the other stuff. Now on to the next phase, which is the melting part. We're going to melt some delicious things together. So what we're going to need is 150 grams of butter, and it really does have to be proper butter. We are going to add in with my spoons. A lot of people like my spoons. They're very good, they're magnetic. I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 3 tablespoons of this golden syrup. I sort of know how much to put in by now. 3 tablespoons of caster sugar. 1, 2, and 3. Then placing your stove on sort of a medium heat, you're going to melt all this down. Now take a few moments, but eventually it will all be a most beautiful, glossy liquid. And all we're going to do is, we've got those biscuits and raisins there in a bowl, is take our wonderful, glorious chocolate mixture and add it into the biscuits. Work this into the biscuits and into the raisins. It could take a couple of minutes to really get this properly combined. So just be patient with it. It will come together. But what you're looking for is to try and coat as much of the biscuit into the chocolate mixture. Don't be tempted to add more in because it will absorb it and it will take it all on. don't forget, if you could like and subscribe to my channel, that would be wonderful. That way I can keep making these recipes for you. And also, when you find a recipe that you love, you will be able to find my channel and find the recipe fairly easy in the playlists. So go on, make a girl happy. And so what we're going to do is take that baking tin that we'd got earlier, and we're just going to pour that into the tin. So once you've poured your biscuit and your chocolate into the tin, you need to press it down. Now, I've got a little gadget which isn't supposed to be used for this, but in true Emily style, I try and find other things. It's actually from my coffee machine, and it tampers down the coffee. But you know what? It actually makes a really, really handy tool for pressing the mixture down. So, as you can see, it's a useful little tool, this. Just for pushing it down and getting into those corners. You could use anything, even the back of a teaspoon or any other implement, even maybe the back of a rolling pin, the head of the rolling pin. What you want to do is just flatten it out and press it down as much as you can, and just try and get into those corners. So once you've got it fairly level there, you would, in an ideal world, put it in the fridge maybe for about half an hour or so. That really does help the base. However, if time is pressing, like I've just been pressing the mixture down, then you have to go to the next stage, which of course is melting the chocolate. So the next stage is one of my favourite bits, the chocolate. Who doesn't like nice chocolate? Oh, it's really good. However, you're going to layer off with a top of chocolate. It's your decision what type of chocolate you use. You need 200 grams of it anyway, that is for sure. However, I like the balance of half milk chocolate and half dark chocolate. I find sometimes it's too sort of bitter with just fully dark, and it's too sweet with milk. So when you combine the two together, you seem to get that nice balance. Now, behind me, you will see I've put a pan of water on to boil, and I've just got this dish here, and what I'm going to do is use it as a bain-marie and just pop this over the top of the pan like that. You could do it in a microwave if you want, but I don't own a microwave. I don't particularly like them. I don't like them as a gadget. I have my own personal reasons for that. But if you've got a microwave and you want to use it, you can do. However, I'm using this method. The only thing that I'm going to say to you when melting chocolate over water on a stove is you make sure that that water does not touch the bottom of the dish, because otherwise your chocolate could go real grainy. So just make sure, like I've done, I've filled it up halfway, and then I'll pop this over the top, and that will just allow the chocolate to melt and doesn't allow the water to touch the bottom. So just break your chocolate up. You can see I'm doing in a bowl there. Then when it's broken up, just literally put it onto the stove, onto that pan, like I'm going to show you in a minute, or in your microwave. So just popping it on the top of the stove like that. And then what's going to happen is all this chocolate is going to melt down gorgeous. Now we're going to transfer this over and pour on top of the biscuit base. Now to pour over the melted chocolate over this base. Now it might not look as if you've got enough, but actually I find 200 grams just enough. And then what you're going to do is just help coax and ease this out to the edge. People say, is it the same as Rocky Road? Nope, because Rocky Road tends to have more things like nuts, and it will have marshmallows and all sorts of things added to it. So this is definitely a little bit different. Can you see there? It has actually just settled nicely and filled out beautifully. Time to put this bad boy now in the fridge to set. Ideally overnight. That is the best way. However, it does start to set between 2 and 4 hours. So I know it's going to be really hard to tear yourself away from this and leave it for the given time. But if you can leave it to the next day, it does make cutting it so much easier. But I wouldn't blame you if you only gave it 2 to 4 hours. So you've let your chocolate tiffin chill and it's time to cut it into the segments. So it's really, really simple. Just with these sides of the greaseproof paper, I pick it up, move the tin out the way. And as you can see, I just peel back the paper. I can start cutting it into segments. Got a really, really nice long sharp knife and I just go straight in, make like a score and cut. So all that remains to be done is to place these on a nice cake plate and I think to pop the kettle on and make yourself a real nice cup of tea to go with a slice of this delicious chocolate tiffin. Really got to stop eating it. Gonna have to go for a run now.
The full written recipe is on my website, cookingwithemily.co.uk.